election. The other guys are completely untested. I've done it 4 times, 2 primaries, 2 generals. I got 100,000 votes more than Sherrod Brown got when in any election he's ever had. The guy's been running for office for nearly 50 years. In 2022, when I was reelected, I got 100,000 votes more than Sherrod's best total ever. That tells you with the right candidate, we can beat this guy. And it's not enough to just beat him if we're going to send somebody to DC that's not actually tested and proven as a conservative who's going to fight for our values. Because for too long, we've been sending Republicans to DC that don't actually act like Republicans when they get there. So this is the second part. We need somebody that's actually a proven conservative. Somebody that doesn't just say it. Unless you're a fool, any candidate for a Republican primary is going to call themselves a conservative. They're going to talk about fighting for defending life. They're going to talk about protecting the Second Amendment. They're going to talk about limited government and low taxes. But talk is cheap. We can't just send people there that talk about it. We need to send people there that are proven. And I'm the only one with a 100% pro-life voting record, 100% pro-Second Amendment voting record, a proven record on cutting taxes and streamlining regulations. I'm the proven battle-tested conservative in this race. A couple issues that I'm really focused on. We could talk about a dozen different things, but the 3 that I've really focused on in this race, first and foremost, is the economy. In fact, it's important to talk about this in real terms. We use words like economy and inflation and all that. Sometimes that gets a little esoteric for the average person. We're talking about families being able to earn enough money to live a good life, right? We're talking about quality of life. We're talking about cost of living. We're talking about how do people support themselves and their families. These are not just numbers on a page. This is very real stuff. And I'm the only candidate in the race who actually lives the way normal Ohioans live. I don't have the multi-million dollars that others have. I'm a thousandaire, not a millionaire. And I understand when Ohio families sit at their kitchen table at the end of the month that they've got to make some really tough decisions right now about how they pay their bills because the cost of everything is going up, but wages aren't rising to keep up with it. And so the people that claim they're for the average blue-collar working man, the Democrats, are actually making the problem worse. Brown and Biden have put in place policies that are hurting the people they claim to help. They think that if you hire 80,000 IRS agents that you're going to fix the economy. Nonsense. Those IRS agents are hired to go after small business owners and make it harder for them. They think that if you spend trillions of dollars on green energy mandates that don't work when the sun's not shining and the wind's not blowing, if they dump a bunch of money into this, Green New Deal nonsense, that somehow, if you call it the Inflation Reduction Act, it's going to reduce inflation. Not true. In fact, just this week, the Biden administration put major new restrictions on natural gas, which is one of our great national assets. One of Ohio's great assets. They're making it harder for us to produce and export natural gas now, and that's a problem. So we know how to fix an economy. It's by cutting taxes, by streamlining regulations, by getting government out of the way. And yes, that also means investing in the smart things that government needs to invest in, like infrastructure, defense, public safety, and education, making sure that we're prepared to succeed, but then it means getting government out of the way. And so when it comes to the economy, that's a clear focus. And one thing that we must do, the Trump tax cuts are set to expire in 2025. Now, when a tax cut expires, what is it? It's a tax increase to the tune of billions of dollars. And so if we don't take back the Senate, those tax cuts will expire, which means a massive tax increase that will destroy the private sector in this country. The other issue that I've really focused on is the U.S.-Mexican border. Let me be first very clear about something. We don't want border security because we hate anybody. The left has this false narrative that they spin that border security is hateful. It's not because we hate the people on the other side, far from it. It's because we love this country that we want to have our border secure. All of our families at some point came here from another place and came here legally and followed the rules and became part of this big American family. But what's happening right now on the U.S.-Mexican border is absolute lawlessness. It's bad for America. It's also bad for the people that are trying to cross, right? Because you've got families that are handing their children off to human traffickers just hoping that they're going to be able to get into this country and creating a very unsafe scenario for everybody involved. I've been very clear that we must have a secure border. You don't have a sovereign nation unless you have a secure border. I've proposed that we deploy 3 divisions, which is roughly 60,000 troops, down to the border to immediately secure the border and stop the lawlessness and human trafficking and drugs and crime that are pouring across this border. Only our military is capable of doing that in short order. By the way, this is not a radical idea. I served on the border as part of a counter-narcotics task force. I was deployed there, believe it or not, during the Clinton administration as part of a thing called Joint Task Force 6. It was a counter-narcotics task force. When I was down there with JTF 6, we would go out on patrol with the Border Patrol at night. They would search a group of people that we found crossing the border, and we would find bags of cocaine in the diapers of precious children. Now, there's a place in hell for anybody that would put a bag of cocaine in the diaper of a child thinking we wouldn't look for it there. It's worse now because it's not cocaine, it's fentanyl, which is deadly in absolutely minute quantities. 200 people a day are dying from fentanyl overdoses. I made it very clear on the debate stage that if the Mexican government is unwilling or unable to do something about these foreign terrorist organizations called cartels that are killing Americans, if they're not willing to act, we must be. And that's something that maybe I differ with the other candidates on. We have to be clear about that. Hey, Jack. We have to be clear about that we're willing to use lethal force to protect America. We also need to take away the incentive for people to come here illegally. We need to be clear that if you break our laws, first of all, a law that's not enforced isn't a law. It's a suggestion, right? And if we're going to have laws, we must enforce them. And one of the things that we must make clear is that if you break the law coming into this country illegally, you will not be able to take advantage of government benefits, you will not be eligible for citizenship, on and on. So we must secure the border to protect this country. And then, once we have a secure border, sure, we can have a merit-based immigration system that brings people here legally and assimilates them into our culture and gives them an opportunity, but only once we have a secure border. The other issue that I've really focused on is parents' rights. And this is one that I really think Republicans and Democrats agree on. Lauren and I are raising 3 little girls, and we're not interested in co-parenting with the government. We want our children to be raised with our values. We've got too many schools that are indoctrinating children instead of educating them. We've got schools that are teaching children to hate each other based on race. They really are. And they're teaching children to hate this country. Let me be clear about something. In foreign countries around the world, in places like Iran, in places like Russia, in places like North Korea and China, they're teaching their children to hate America. We must teach our children to love America and to have a full understanding of our nation's history, including where we've fallen short. But we need to be able to love this country so that we can continue fighting for it. We've got a problem right now with recruitment in the military. And while the Navy thinks that hiring a drag queen recruiter is the solution, and they literally did that, the real solution is that we need to be raising patriotic young Americans that want to do what I did and enlist at 18 years old, because they love this country and they realize that it's worth fighting for. And so parents' rights is something that I'm really focused on as well. Listen, I told you, we've got a country to save. This is no small matter. It starts here in Ohio with defeating Sherrod Brown. We believe that Donald Trump's going to be in the White House in 2025, and I believe that that's going to happen. God forbid it doesn't happen. Either way, we need to control the United States Senate, and this race in Ohio is the one that will determine the majority in the United States Senate. If we beat Brown, then we can fire the Democrats that run the Senate, and we can put Republicans in charge, and that's exactly what we're going to do. 7 weeks from Tuesday is when this Republican primary is going to be over. Wow. I'm happy to say that I have continued to lead in the polling, which is pretty remarkable, given that the other guys have spent $4.5 million each. And so I am both underdog and front runner simultaneously. I'm David and Goliath at the same time. It's interesting, though, that in the metric that really matters, actual support among voters, that I continue to lead in the polls. And that's why I'm confident that with our ads now running, the fact that I've been able to raise millions of dollars the old-fashioned way by working hard and raising those dollars, not just writing a check out of my own checking account, that we've been able to put a heck of a campaign together. So I'm asking you for 2 things before we start questions. First, I'm asking for your vote. Each of you is my prospective employer as an American citizen. I'm asking you to hire me first to beat Brown, second to go to DC and save this country. But more important than anything else, I'm asking for your prayers. I'm asking you to keep myself and my family and my team in your prayers. And listen, as people of faith, I believe we should be praying for our opponents as well. Don't pray for them to win, but do pray for them because it's a lot of stress. The campaign is tough on families. It's a difficult endeavor. So thank you all for the chance to get together, and look forward to any questions that you have. Good to see you, brother.
Mark, I got a question.
Only tough ones.
I want to know. Excuse me.